Kelsey Deckert. I'm a temporary summer help, and I've been helping Bruce Schmidt, our egg agent, out. This week I'm joined with our horticulturalist, Tom Kalb. How's it going?
Good, Kelsey. How about you?
Good. I think everybody's jumping for joy today, right?
Oh, man, I couldn't believe it this morning when the clouds were coming, and wow, that was just wonderful. Our plants were so parched and just in the nick of time. I
would agree. I know last night I had saw online that Kevin Lawrence had posted a picture at what the 7 a.m. forecast looked like, and I was like, boy, if that's what it's going to be, everybody should be dancing tomorrow. So, yeah, that's right. You know what? It was getting. We're in extreme drought here in Burleigh and Mandan. We've gotten much less rain. It's already dry here in North Dakota to begin with, but this year has been especially dry. And actually, I was getting worried about our lawns a little bit because, they can only take so much dryness before they can even die back. And so I was kind of getting worried about, how can we rescue your lawn? But now I think this rain is going to rescue all our lawns and give them just the drink they need. Does it put us out of the drought?
Hey, man, that drought's over. I'm very positive.
Not even close, right?
It's really helpful. And, I always look at the forecast, the next 2-week forecast. And, it's definitely, it's much better than it has been in the past. And even though this fall we're expecting regular rainfall, if not, maybe there's a chance for even higher than normal rainfall. So
it would be a blessing.
Yeah, but, of course, a lot of damage has been done. Our lawn has been set back, but a lot of trees, and especially our newly planted trees, really suffered a lot. But, that's what we're here, as a gardener, we're here to help our plants get through this, and it's good to see that Mother Nature is cooperating with us a little bit now.
That is good. Just for our listeners out there, if anybody does have any questions related to horticulture or gardening, you can give us a call this morning. We're here till about noon, and the number is 663-1270.
Yeah, that'd be great. Let's get some questions. And, Kelsey, she's an expert, and I'm here to support, 663-1270. Any question on gardening that you have, or your lawn, your trees, any bugs that you're seeing in your landscape, we can help you figure out what to do about it.
Perfect. So you mentioned earlier about lawns, and that seems to be a question that we're still getting as far as how to go about watering during this drought and stuff. And I've actually had some people really concerned about how much, like you said, how much drought can they take until the crown starts dying back. So,
well, yeah, in extreme drought, there is a worry about the crown dying back. And so we talk about a rescue treatment of like 1/3 of an inch every 3 weeks. But, like a rainfall like today, it's going to
perk it up.
That's just what it needs. So I think, if your lawn is in good shape to begin with, then it should have survived this drought.
Yeah.
Okay, we got a question already. Let's go with it.
Hello.
Hello?
Hi, can we help you with your gardening question?
Yeah, I got a question for you, I guess.
Okay.
I had a heck of a time this spring with, it was a little cooler at first, and then it got really, really hot, and so I pretty much just give up on my garden. But I've come up with the idea that, I just reseeded my tomato plants and stuff, so I'm starting all over again.
Okay,
I'm going to try and finish out in the cold frame and stuff like that. I'm wondering about sunlight issues and stuff like that. Are the days going to be long enough, or?
And you started your tomatoes from seed just recently.
Yeah, they're just recently. Yeah.
Okay, man, you're hoping for a long growing season. It's going to be really hard for you to succeed. Especially with tomatoes. Tomatoes are very sensitive to cool temperatures, and even temps in the below 50 degrees can inhibit the flower and fruit production. So I don't know, but you can always give it a try. If you have an early variety, and one thing you might want to
need a little extra light, actually some extra heat. It's possible. Got it.
Yes, and you talk one thing that we can do all of us can consider using is a row cover. And, you know, there's row covers that you can use that can provide up to 8 degrees of protection of frost. And these are sometimes called frost blankets, and it's a spun bonded polyester. So, you know, as the days cool off, you might want to, and if there's a risk of frost at night, you know, you can consider putting on that frost blanket. That can protect you a little bit. You know, you're just really pushing it. You know, I have to say, I'd be surprised if you have a successful crop for tomatoes. But now, you know, let me also say that I like your attitude, and I think it's if you want to get going on doing stuff, there's still the fall season crops that you can grow. You can grow spinach and kohlrabi. There's all kinds of mustard greens that are available that are mild tasting. And turnips, the best turnips and the best radishes that you've ever tasted are ones that are sown in August. And that's because they bulb out when it's cool outside and you have a mild flavor. So, you know, hey man, you give those tomatoes a try.
About 300 heads of lettuce too. So.
Exactly. That's a great one. So. Yeah. So yeah, there is hope. But I just, you picked a tough crop there to make it work with the tomatoes. But, hey, man, go for it.
Spring and summer here for, you know, at first it was too cold. Now it's just burning up. And so I got to try something.
That's it. I'm with you, man. And, you know, for everybody who didn't really get started this spring, again, we're right into once August comes, we got all these kind of cool seeds and crops that you can grow. And there are medium weight row covers that you can use to accelerate growth and protect frost. So there's still a lot of gardening left. So that's great. And kale, you can plant kale right now. That's a thing you can plant right now. There's lots of possibilities out there.
Cool season ones.
I totally like your attitude, man.
I'm going to give her heck on the tomatoes still. I'm going to try and influence that, you know, environment-wise, adding some heat and stuff, and maybe going a little bit farther than the roll covers, you know, with quite extensive cold frame, you know.
Right. Okay. So, good luck.
I'm going to give it a try. So.
Okay, man.
But thanks for your advice.
Oh, you're very welcome. Good luck.
All right. I think we are going to take a short break, and we thank the caller for calling in.
Yeah, let's have some more calls.
Right now, 66.
On Twitter, Facebook, online, and YouTube. supertalk1270.com.
Welcome back to Extension Connection. This week you were joined with Burleigh County Extension. I'm Kelsey Deckert, and I have Tom Kalb, our horticulturalist, here in the radio booth with me. So before the break, we had a call, which was nice. And again, if anybody is out there listening and has any gardening questions or horticulture-related questions, feel free to give us a call. That number is 663-1270.
That's right. We're happy to help you.
That's right. So before the break, we were talking about drought and kind of how to plug through this season and stuff. We talked a little bit about the lawns, but how about our trees now?
Well, yeah, you know, our trees, well, there's really two groups of trees. One is the ones that are newly planted. Those are the most important plants to water in your landscape. That's your top priority. That's if you're going to water one thing, that's what you want to do. We got another gardening question. Let's go for it. Hi, welcome to 1270. What's your question?
Hi, I have a bird infestation in my barn. I was wondering, what is the best way to get rid of them? I've been plucking them with my BB gun, but I haven't gotten anywhere. They keep reproducing.
Okay, not really gardening related, but I think we can maybe help you out a little bit.
What kind of birds are they? Are they swallows?
What's that?
What kind of birds are they?
Barn swallows.
Barn swallows. All right. Well, I guess I would recommend. It sounds like you're kind of on the right path as far as using a BB gun and stuff. But I know like people will put up things to kind of deter them, whether that's fake owls or kind of like pie tins and stuff, shiny, to get them out of there. But I don't know. Are you, Tom, aware of any like bait or poison to put out?
Okay, I'll tell you what I know from landscapes, and that is officially I think you're not allowed to shoot any birds in a landscape situation, or maybe sparrows, maybe. But okay, what I would do is this is my 2 cents worth, and that's about all it's worth. That's for sure. First of all, we want to make sure they don't get nests established there, and so knock down the nest. And we want to exclude them. That's the best way to handle any wildlife situation, is exclude them. So find out how they're getting into the barn, what we can do to seal up those tiny entrances where they're entering into the barn. Take down the nest. Don't let them nest. Just frustrate them, and then they're more likely to nest outdoors, outside the barn. So, yeah, there are. I mean, for crops, there are repellents that can be used to handle birds, like Meserol is an old one that was used to be used. But I think in general we focus. I would try to focus on excluding them, getting them out of the barn, and keeping them out of the barn.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Great. Again, anybody else have a call out there or have some questions about gardening, give us a call at 663-1270. Right before that call, so kind of talking about getting these trees watered properly throughout this drought.
That's right. Again, there's like 2 groups of trees. One are the newly planted trees. And, a newly planted tree, I think we just don't really appreciate how much roots they lost. From that production field in the nursery to your backyard or the boulevard, those trees have lost over 90% of their feeding roots. And so these new trees, they are under transplanting shock. And we say like a tree's under shock for at least 1 year per inch of trunk diameter. It's measured at the 6-inch height. So, 1 to 1.5 years of shock for every inch. So let's say you plant a 2-inch caliper tree. That tree's under 2 to 3 years of shock before it has its root system restored. Yep. And so those trees are the ones that are under stress. And the signs of stress is you'll see the leaf margins, the leaf edges turning brown. And this is such a common thing we're seeing because of this drought. So you got to give the trees, you got to pay attention to your trees to first. A mature tree, like your big ash tree or your big elm tree, that's probably the least important thing to water in your landscape because it has a huge network of roots established and it can tolerate dry conditions. Actually, probably the worst thing you're going to see is trees will shed some of their leaves because trees lose water through their leaves. So sometimes the trees will drop some of their unnecessary leaves, or even like I see some seed pods are dropping down heavy underneath the linden trees now. But a mature tree can handle it. But we got to focus on those young trees. That's the most important thing. And usually, another rule of thumb that we say, how much water do we use? About 10 gallons per week per inch of trunk diameter. So, a big tree, you got to give more water. So, and the other thing we talk about is, how often you water. So like a couple, 3 times a week for a newly planted tree is often needed. And one thing we're seeing more and more now are these tree bags. If you drive down the streets of Bismarck and Mandan, you often see these.
Yep, on the boulevard trees.
You see the tree gator bags, the watering bags. And we've got another gardening question. Let's go for it.
Good morning.
Welcome, caller. What's your gardening question?
Austin.
Okay, okay, it sounds good. Again, we welcome any gardening questions. We're at 663-1270. If you got any questions about your trees or gardens or any bugs, we'd be happy to answer them for you.
So what about these watering bags? Good, bad?
Why are they used? Why do you use them?
I have some actually out in a orchard in Wing, and I use them because I ain't getting out there every day to water. That's the reason.
That's right.
And they hold quite a bit of water, and from what I read on them and stuff, they have that slow release that they're supposed to give out. I think the bags I bought have 5 gallons. They hold 5 gallons, and then it's supposed to be a slow release throughout 1 week. Is what it says.
Yeah.
I think we got him back.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, they're shy.
Yeah.
Don't be shy. It depends on the type of bag. Well, one of the most common, the most popular product is the tree gator bags, and their standard one is a 15-gallon bag, and it has a couple holes at the base. So what we, like you say, Kelsey, we use that because of labor demands.
Yep.
And, the way to proper water a tree, you got to just have it slowly drip out so it doesn't run off. Like, you can't just dump. Let's say you have a 1 to 2 inch trunk diameter tree. That's like 10 to 20 gallons it needs.
And the soil I have out there is quite sandy on top of it, so trying to water with a hose, it doesn't really hold
hard.
that well.
And so we really want to target that tree right within that area where its limited root system is. And so you put those bags on, and you fill up the bag with, let's say, 15 gallons of water. And for those kind of bags, they'll leak out their water over like a 5 to 8 hour time period.
Okay.
And so, and a lot of times people ask me about like, how about the bark? Does the bark get soaking with all the water, get it rotten? No, the bark isn't exposed to the water of most of these watering bags. The watering bag wraps around.
Yep.
The water's totally enclosed. It
side.
zips up on one side, so the bark itself doesn't even get exposed to the water. It's just a nice way to slowly leak out the water. If you're a cheapo gardener like I am, there's other ways to do it. You can't just take your time in a slow drip of water or soaker hoses, or another way to do it is you've got some 5-gallon pails and just drill a few holes there at the bottom. It's just like a tree gator bag. It's the same principle.
Put it around the tree.
Right. And so, the other thing is that's very important to help your young tree is you got to put mulch around it. And shredded bark mulch is really the best way to go to help conserve moisture in your tree. So I highly recommend that. And as far as putting on mulch, there's a rule called the 3-3-3 rule. And that is around your tree, you should have at least 3 feet diameter of mulch. So 3 feet of diameter, it should be about 3 inches thick. And you want to keep it at least 3 inches away from the trunk, because we don't want the mulch right up against the trunk, because that can cause trunk rot and attract rodents who will nest in there. So use that 3-3-3 rule. That's the best thing you can do for your tree is water it and put some mulch around it. That also mulch will help keep that darn lawnmower away from it, which is a major killer of trees, scraping that bark with the lawnmower. So use that mulch. And I really like the shredded bark mulch. It helps insulate the soil. It slowly breaks down, sure, it nourishes the soil. It insulates the soil, prevents it getting too hot or too cold in the winter, too hot in the summer. So it's better than a rock mulch. If the trees would much rather have like a wood chip mulch or shredded bark mulch around it, and that can help your trees survive. So take care of your trees for the first couple years, help them get over the shock, and then you'll be set from there on.
Perfect. And how about in our gardens and stuff? A lot of, maybe if we can quickly touch on that before we go to break again, but gardens too, it seems like, like our first caller that called in this morning really struggled this year with getting it established and stuff. I gotta say, just personally speaking, from our community gardens, it looks like now they are really blooming.
Yeah.
So,
well, when you think about watering, the roots grow where the water is. If you water deep, the roots will grow deep, and that's what we want. So water deeply, not necessarily frequently. A couple times a week is much better than a little bit every day.
Okay, perfect. We are going to take a short break, and we'll be back after a few minutes.
Right now, 66.
The Red River Farm Network. Ag News is here on Super Talk 1270.
Welcome back to Extension Connection. This week you're joined with Burleigh County Extension. I'm Kelsey Deckard, some summer temporary help, and then I'm joined with our horticulturalist, Tom Kalb.
Yeah, morning, Kelsey. And we invite people's gardening questions. If you have a question on your garden or landscape, you got a sick plant, you got a sick tree, you got some bugs that are causing you a headache, give us a call and we'll be happy to answer your question. We're at 663-1270. That's 663-1270.
All right, so right before when we were on break here, we were talking about how a lot of our gardeners and homeowners around our county and kind of throughout the state have fallen into this. The sky is falling right now, right?
Well, you mean the Japanese beetle
The
scare?
Japanese beetle scare. That's right. A lot of people are worried about that.
Well, I'm worried about it, aren't you?
A little bit. A little bit.
So let's talk about that. Japanese beetle. Hey, man, that is, we all talk about the emerald ash borer being so devastating, but actually the Japanese beetle has been a major pest throughout the eastern U.S. since it came here from Japan 100 years ago, and it's been slowly but surely marching its way towards North Dakota, just heading for Medora, I guess. Or I don't know what it's going for.
Let's go see the musical.
I guess so. And I made a special trip this spring. That was a worry that we had, because in late June, the Department of Agriculture, they identified some Japanese beetles in a nursery, and then we found out that the source of these plants are the Bailey Nursery in St. Paul, and that's where 80% of our landscape plants come, is from Bailey Nursery in St. Paul. And Bailey's Nurseries, they're an outstanding outfit, and actually they're doing all that they can to prevent the Japanese beetle from coming here. But actually, the Japanese beetle is well established in the Twin Cities, and it's been in South. It's been
It's been here before too.
Oh yeah, it came here to Bismarck first. It came here like 2001, 2002. But it was a very short stay. It just didn't quite survive. And that's one of our best defenses, is that cold winter we have, because the beetle tries to survive underneath the ground as a grub. But man, as you know, it gets a little bit cold here in winter, and it just couldn't survive. It couldn't successfully survive North Dakota, kind of like the way I felt after about my first winter.
Or this last winter, right?
That's right. I had the suitcase packed in Christmas times. And okay, I'm tired of this 50 inches of snow in December. That's enough of this. It's insane. No, I'm getting my hardiness. And that's the problem with the Japanese beetle, is it's going to get hardy too, and so, but yeah, it's been here now. And actually, Bismarck, Mandan, we seem to get more Japanese beetle finds than anybody in our state, probably because we're growing a lot, and there's a lot of nurseries planting, a lot of plants coming in, lots of trees and shrubs coming into our developments here.
A lot of landscaping.
A lot of landscaping, big time here. And so it's been here like regularly since 2012, right? So, but the big concern was a huge shipment came through, and by the time we discovered it in late June, 95% of the plants have already been sold. And so, like, oh my gosh, we could have just, actually, there's an estimate that 5,000 there's up to 5,000 infested plants were spread out in 67 nurseries in North Dakota. So what we're asking people is, be on the lookout for this Japanese beetle, because we don't want it to get established. It's a huge major pest. We call it skeletonize, or just, eat everything but the veins of leaves of all kind of over, 300 different types of plants, lindens and apples and crab apples and elms and, oh man.
Some of those shrubs out there, like roses.
Oh, they love roses, and they'll go after corn, the silks of corn. They'll go after soybeans for crops. And the grubs are a major problem on turf. So it's a major pest. This is like the number one pest of landscapes in the East, and it's headed right our way. So what we want to do is we want to work with Mother Nature. She's got her killer, her cold weather killer, her cold, bitter heart that can just suffocate them with ice. And then for us, what we can do is, we can identify them and then spray them right away and kill them before they reproduce. And now's the time when they're just coming out. They're hatching into adults. And actually, once you see one, they're spectacular. You'll probably say, hey, little Joey, get over here. Wow, look at this cool
bug.
Look at this awesome bug. It's so shiny.
Metallic green.
That's right, metallic green with bronze wings. And it's pretty big. It's about the size of your thumbnail. Your thumbnail, Kelsey, maybe my pinky nail. And it's got white tufts on the white hairy patches on the sides.
Looks like little spots around the back
exactly.
of it. Yep.
Once you see one, it's hard to mistake. But if you see one, please contact your local extension office or the Department of Agriculture. We want to know where they are. But actually, first of all, what I would do is I'd go ahead and spray that sucker and kill it. Kill with an insecticide. And I think that one of the best beetle killers out there is Sevin or Carbaryl, which is probably the most commonly available insecticide. But Japanese beetles are not hard to control. We just want to make sure that they don't come and attack our landscapes, and we don't want them to get comfortable here.
Yep.
And so they are trapping. The Department of Ag has like 1,500 traps out there.
And homeowners can go get them, right?
You can. Yeah, you can buy traps. They're widely available. But if it was me, I would not. That's the last thing I want, because the traps will lure in the beetle from several hundred yards, and we'll
also take in pollinators as well.
Yeah, they take in pollinators, but the thing is I don't, like for me, I don't want all the neighborhood Japanese beetles come to my garden. So
take care of it, right?
That's right. So I recommend, like, do you have like a neighbor who you can't stand? Give it to them for Christmas, a Japanese beetle trap. They'll be so surprised they got a gift from you, and then next year when they garden, or even this summer, because they're active now, and these traps really do lure them. Mm-hmm. They'll say, "Wow, thank you for helping me trap all these Japanese beetles," and you can just snicker as you walk away, because they'll say, "Hey, thanks for taking all the beetles out of my yard, and you got them now." Exactly. So I don't recommend you get a Japanese beetle trap unless, like, I don't know, you're an entomologist and you're fascinated by bugs or whatever. But again, this is something that maybe you can put in you see it in parks and golf courses and nurseries. These are the places where the Japanese beetles are most likely found in the beginning. Actually, they're almost always found in golf courses because the lawn's always irrigated. It's ideal conditions for the beetles, and actually you can see these traps. I see them in the parks. They're like kind of looks like a miniature bomb. Kind of reminds me with like a yellow container with a yellow cylinder with green bomb fins on them, and so just leave it alone. And we're trying to monitor for the pest, and then when we see it, we definitely want to kill this pest. So, again, be on the lookout for that Japanese beetle. It's green with shiny bronze.
And if you were to suspect, like, damage to, like, if you worked in a golf course or your lawn and stuff, you'd see symptoms of dieback on your grass. And
yeah, but like with grubs on the lawn, there's so many other types of grubs. Then they talk about how to identify a Japanese beetle grub, and so you have to, like, look at the butt of the grub, and see the hairs on the butt of the grub, under a microscope. Yeah. So I'm sorry, that's really hard.
Yeah, I would say so.
I would recommend we just send that sample into Fargo and let someone on campus deal with that. Yep. It's probably not, though. I mean, if it's a grub in a lawn right now, because
right now they're in the adult stage.
Right now we're just seeing just a few Japanese beetles. But, it's in the long term, it seems to be the trend is that once the beetle does get established, it will start having baby beetles, and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and the population becomes an issue. And our winters are becoming, believe it or not, they're less extreme than in the past. And so this favors their survival. So that's why I always hope for, every time it's just 25 below zero, I just, but I always think about the silver lining. I can go inside and I got a furnace that works, whereas the Japanese beetle is going to get quick frozen. So Japanese beetle is a big worry. If you see one, please contact your local extension office.
And just know that there are some that are lookalikes pretty close, so you do want somebody professional to correctly identify that as well.
Those white hairy spots on the side, that's
the giveaway.
That's the giveaway. You can't mistake it. And should we talk about some other bugs?
Yeah, what do we got emerging in our gardens? Excuse me.
Okay, I'd say now the number one beetle, it's just emerging right now, it's the Colorado potato beetle. And if you have potatoes or eggplant, especially, maybe peppers too, they'll go after. Sometimes tomatoes if they're starving to death, but usually potatoes and eggplant. You see these striped yellow and dark brown, black stripes on them, and so be on the lookout for them right now. They're just hatching now. You can see their eggs.
And what can we do about those if we see them?
The orange eggs on the underside of the leaf. Just squish them, squish them. It makes you feel good. It's like death. You're more powerful than this beetle. And the larva, after an egg, it becomes like a soft beetle. It looks like a soft, gooey beetle with it's an orange beetle. It's like an orange, I don't know what you call it, really.
Yeah, I don't know how you describe it either.
It's kind of like a fat, gooey, slimy caterpillar that's short.
Like maybe one that Timon and Pumbaa ate in The Lion King.
Okay, exactly.
Maybe it's like that.
Okay, Makuna Matata.
Exactly, no worries.
And look for those. And if you want to, you can just take your kids out there and give them a bucket of soapy water. They can pick them off by hand, and you give them a penny for a beetle. There you go. They can make some money off you. So that's the best. But there are beetle killer. Always 7's powerful, and there are organic types too. There's pyrethrin. Spinosad's really great against them, and neem oil will get the job done too.
Okay, we're going to take our last break, and we'll be back after a couple minutes.
Sounds good.
Right now, 66.
Here's Sean Hannity, weekday afternoons on Super Talk 1270.
Welcome back to Extension Connection. This week you were joined with Burleigh County Extension. I'm Kelsey Deckert, and I have Tom Kalb in the studio with me. He's a horticulturalist.
That's right, and we're here to answer any gardening questions.
Yep.
If you have any gardening questions, anything going on with your landscape, your lawn, you got some bugs out there.
Last segment to give us a call.
That's right, 663-1270, 663-1270. We're happy to help you.
All right, so I think with this last segment, talk about some things that have been happening kind of quickly here
That's
around.
Right. Rapid fire.
Okay, all right, so I guess I can start. I've had a lot of people call in with questions in regards to gardens with their vegetables having a lot of blooms but no fruit yet.
Yep. Okay, well, the heat. A lot of it has to do with the heat. And like for tomatoes, if day temps get above 85, or the night temps are above 70, that can cause the tomato blossoms to abort. They don't get pollinated properly from the wind, actually. And also, peppers are very sensitive to extreme heat, and so we might have a gap because of all that 90-degree, 100-degree temps. Beans and cucumbers can also show the effects. So don't be surprised if we get some flower dropping, and that might have a short gap in not having a crop. And
I think too, like I've told some people, depending on when you got your garden planted, like mine was a little bit later, so right now, yeah, I would be seeing blooms rather than fruit yet at this point on mine.
A good thing to look for in your fruits, if you do have fruits, that's on your tomatoes. The first group of tomatoes often get blossom end rot. It's a hard brown spot on the bottom of the tomato, and so now it just affects the first cluster of the fruits. And so nice, calm, cool day today. You can go out there, look at your garden, and look for that blossom end rot on your tomato and pick off those fruits. They are edible, but most people don't like to have a rot on their bottom of the fruit. And keep your garden properly watered, not too wet, not too dry, and usually blossom end rot, the problem will solve itself. There's it's a calcium deficiency. It's not a fungicide or anything like that. You don't mess around with that. Just let the root system develop. It'll find the calcium, and you should be okay.
Those future fruits look good then. Should, right? Afterwards.
You got it.
All right.
What else is going on? What do you got? Please.
I was just going to say I have a lot of people, too, again, dealing with the drought, tomatoes and stuff coming in where their leaves are rolling inward. So they're not actually showing that they have herbicide injury, but it's a physiological leaf roll due to our lack of water and high heats.
That's right. Nothing to do about it.
No.
Plant's not really under any stress, so plant can deal with that. Most common question I get is herbicide injury. The tomatoes that are really extremely curled and twisted, caused by herbicide drift or compost or contaminated manure or compost. So know where your manure comes from, and if you see that extreme curling and twisting, that's a herbicide injury. And in most cases, we generally recommend that your crop's lost for this year. Speaking of herbicides, let's keep throwing out stuff real quick in our last few minutes here, is that we don't recommend spraying your lawn with herbicides now. You don't get a very effective kill this time of year. You should wait until the temperatures cool off in mid to late September, when weeds are more natural to draw in the herbicide and send it down into their roots as they channel their food down into the roots as they prepare for winter. So don't spray your lawn now.
How about fertilize?
Should you fertilize your lawn now? It depends only if the lawn is actively growing and you are regularly irrigating it. If you are irrigating it and it's green and you're going to continue irrigating, yes, July is a time when you can fertilize your lawn. I I generally recommend using a slow release or an organic fertilizer this time of year to minimize burning. And probably the most popular product on the market for that is Milorganite, that classic Milwaukee sewage sludge. It's just great for lawns. It's just what they want, and it's perfectly safe for us too. It just kind of sounds gross, but it's what your lawn wants in the summer. It would be an organic fertilizer like that. But again, only if the lawn is growing and only if you plan on keep watering it. You should not, do not fertilize a dormant lawn. If your lawn's yellow right now, like mine is,
Leave it go.
Let it go until now it's sleeping. Let it sleep. Don't wake it up until
it's like a baby.
That's right, or a bear.
Or a bear, yeah.
Because it's going to get mad if you fertilize it, and it might even die on you, burn. So let's just wait. The best time to fertilize a lawn is in Labor Day. Think about Labor Day. That's a time when your lawn is hungry, and that's when you get the most bang for your buck, because that's when the roots grow. How about let's talk about something else? How about raspberries?
Yeah,
raspberry
little white worms in them.
That's right. There's a major pest that's coming in North Dakota with the last few years is spotted winged Drosophila. It's a vinegar fly or like a fruit fly, and it's appearing right now in gardens in North Dakota. So be wary of that. So
what do we do about that?
What do we do about it? First of all, you try to trap them, and so you can set out a cup. You can set out a cup, like a 16-ounce party cup with a lid, and just poke some holes in it for the fruit flies to get in. Or I should say, it's a vinegar fly. And so actually apple vinegar is a good lure to trap them. Or there are recipes out there, like I got one right here on my paper here, a tablespoon of active dry yeast, getting those packets, like when you make pizza dough and stuff. So 1 tablespoon of that with 4 tablespoons of sugar and 12 ounces of water. And you can find these spotted winged Drosophila traps. Just hang one up in a shaded area of your raspberry patch. If you start seeing those little fruit flies come in, the males have spots on their wings. That's how you key them. And that tells you that they're out there. And so I guess you got 2 choices. One is you can just let it go and just eat the fruits and don't look carefully when you eat them, because there could be a white maggot in there.
Is it going to harm you if you eat it?
No, just don't
extra
look at
protein.
it. It's just extra protein. It's more nutritious that way. So you eat them promptly, cook them right away, or refrigerate them. Don't let the maggot inside develop. That's probably the best way. Otherwise, there are insecticides. And probably that spinosad. You hear a lot about spinosad as a organic insecticide that's widely used for that. So spotted winged Drosophila is here. Apple maggots are flying around now. That's the number one wormy apple producer there is the apple maggot. There's apple maggot traps out there too. And they're pretty much just a red sphere that you hang up on a tree. You put some tanglefoot trap stuff on it, some sticky stuff, and the apple maggot fly, it's like a house fly, will be attracted to that red apple. She wants to lay her eggs in it. And if you start seeing those like housefly looking things on your trap, that means you need to spray to protect your apple crop from apple maggot. That's active now. What else going on?
I've had a call, actually just this week, I think it was Monday, on powdery mildew in their peonies. Right. So with that, I always just tell them, the best management of that is sanitation. And like this fall and stuff, make sure to get in there and rake out that infected debris and stuff. Some people have asked if they can cut their peonies back, and that's absolutely okay as well. Yeah,
maybe think about why they got the powdery mildew.
Yep.
So it's usually more shady areas, or maybe a congested peony bush that we could divide in early September to open it up. And also, don't use overhead irrigation on peonies or really anything, because that gets that water that the fungus just thrives on, right? So avoid overhead watering, and we can use protective sprays next spring in the young shoots when they come up. So that's when that's happening now. What else going on? I think
saplings in yards.
Got little trees coming up.
Yep.
So what do you want to do about that? Start a forest, or
I don't think anybody wants to start.
Gardener?
Yeah.
Just let the forest start.
No, we don't want to start that. Yeah, a lot of times, if you do have saplings and they're young and tender, a lot of times if you just keep mowing, it will eventually kill them. But right now, too, not many people's grass is obviously growing or that they're mowing and stuff. So if you were to go out there, I mean, depending on how many, you could spot spray with Roundup, but you wouldn't want to get that on your grass as it would kill it. So a lot of times, like, you want to look for a chemical that has, like, triclopyr in it to help with that. And that's, I think, usually sold as, like, a brush killer or, like, brush be gone, typically. Yeah,
triclopyr is actually used for lawn weeds, too. So, that'd be something to consider also is that, these are broadleaf trees. So let's just keep them mowed. And then when we do our herbicide application in fall, that can help kill those suckers too. Suckers, how about that?
Yeah.
Maybe they are literally suckers. What else going on? Keep deadheading your flowers.
Yeah.
I saw this pink spireas. They're all dried up. You can shear off those flowers and get a new group of flowers coming. If you do mow your lawn, mow it tall. That's important this time of year because we want to keep the turf tall to help it shade the soil and keep the soil as cool as possible.
And let those clippings fall.
Let the clippings fall, exactly. The lawn wants those clippings. It keeps it cool for it. More watering questions. I think that one key thing is when I see people watering, you want to get as much bang as you can out of that water. So water in the morning and do not water in the afternoon. You're going to lose a lot to evaporation. Do not water on a windy day. You're just, you're going to lose at least 25% of that water just in the air before it even falls to the ground. Mm-hmm. So stay away from that. I think another question I'm getting now is people see on their trees all these bumpy leaves. They're all getting
That's
curious
been a problem
about
all year.
Yep. Those are galls. Galls are harmless. The bugs that cause it, they did their little nip and they're gone. So just let it go. Trees under no stress.
It's like a pimple on your face. Just
That's
ignore
right.
it.
Just ignore it. That's the best thing.
All right. Yep.
That's right.
All right. I think that does it for us today. And we thank you for listening and thank you for the calls in. And we'll be back in 2 weeks.
Sounds good.